Tripartite Treaty of 1838. To address the Afghan problem, the company resorted to further duplicity. Firstly, they persuaded Ranjit Singh to sign a tripartite treaty in June 1838, agreeing to British mediation in his disputes with the Amirs, and then made Emperor Shah Shuja give up his sovereign rights on Sindh, provided the arrears of tribute were paid. The exact amount of the tribute was to be determined by the English, whose main objective was to be obtain finances for the Afghan adventure and obtain so much of the Amir's territory as would secure a line of operation against Afghanistan through Sindh. Sindh Aspects Subsidiary Alliance 1839. The company intended to persuade or compel the Amirs to pay the money and also to consent to the abrogation of the article in Treaty of 1832 which prohibited the movement of English troops in Sindh by land or by river. B.L. Grover writes, under Treaty of Superior Force, the Amirs accepted a treaty in February 1839 by which a British subsidiary force had to be stationed at Shikarpur and Bukhara, and the Amirs of Sindh were to pay rupees 3 lakh annually for the maintenance of the company's troops. Henceforth, the Amirs were debarred for having any negotiation with foreign state without the knowledge of the company. Further, they were to provide storeroom at Karachi for the company's military supplies, beside abolishing all tolls of the Indus and furnishing an auxiliary force for the Afghan war if called upon to do so. Capitulation of Sindh. The First Anglo-Afghan War, 1839 to 1842, fought on the soil of Sindh, was never liked by Amirs of Sindh. Neither did they like the presence of the British troops in their region. However, under the treaty, they were asked to pay for all this, which they did. They were not rewarded or thanked for this service, but were charged with hostility and disaffection against the British government. The Amirs were charged with treasonable activities against the British, and Ellenborough placed in the precarious position due to the Afghan war reverse, sent Outram to Sindh to negotiate a new treaty. Under this treaty, the Amirs were required to cede important provinces as the prince of their past transgressions, to supply fuel to the company's steamers plying on the Indus, and to stop minting coins. Furthermore, in a succession dispute, the English intervened through Napier and started a war when the Amirs rose in revolt. The whole of Sindh capitulated within a short time, and the Amirs made captives and banished from Sindh. In 1843, under Governor General Enerberg, Sindh was merged into the British Empire and Charles Napier was appointed in its first governor. Criticism of the conquest of Sindh. Historians generally condemn the acquisition of Sindh by the British in strong words. The causes of annexation were deliberated, manufactured, like many episodes in the British conquest of India. The Afghan War is also a tale of bullying, tactics, and deceit. However, in the instance of the first Afghan War, the English suffered terribly at the hands of the Afghans, with the corresponding loss of prestige. To compensate for this, the annexed Sindh, which promoted Elphinstone to command, coming from Afghanistan, it put on in mind of a bully who has been knocked in the street and went home to beat his wife in revenge. Conquest of Punjab. Consolidation of Punjab under the Sikhs. After the murder of the last Sikh Guru, Guru Gobind Singh, a section of Sikhs under the leadership of Banda Bahadur revolted against the Mughals during the rule of Bahadur Shah. In 1715, Banda Bahadur was defeated Farrukhsiyar and put to death in 1716. Thus, the Sikh polity once again became leaderless and later got divided into two groups: Bandai, liberal, and Tat Khalsa, orthodox. With this rift among the followers ended in 1721 under the influence of Bhai Mani Singh. Later in 1784, Kapoor Singh Fazullah Puria organized the Sikhs under the Dal Khalsa, with the objective of uniting followers of Sikhism politically, culturally, and economically. The whole body of the Khalsa was formed into two sections: Buddha Dal, the army of the veterans, and the Taruna Dal, the army of young. The weakness of the Mughal and invasions of Ahmad Shah Abdali created a general confusion and anarchy in Punjab. These political conditions helped to organize Dal Khalsa to consolidate further. The Sikhs consolidated in misls, which were military brotherhoods with the democratic setup. Misl is an Arabic word which means equal or alike. Another meaning of misl is state. During the period 1763 to 1773, many misls started to rule the Punjab region under Sikh chieftains, from Saharanpur in the east of Attock in the west, from the mountainous regions of the north to Multan in the south. Sukhar Chakya, Misl, and Ranjit Singh. At the time of the birth of Ranjit Singh, November 2, 1780, there were 12 important misls: Aluwalia, Bangi, Dalewalia, Faizullapuria, Kanhaiya, Karosinghaiya, Nakia, Nishania, Pulakia, Ramagariya, Sukharchakia, and Shahid. The central administration of the misl was based on Gurmata Sangh, which was essentially a political, social, and economic system. Ranjit Singh was the son of Mahan Singh, the leader of the Sukrachakya misl. Mahan Singh died when Ranjit Singh was only 12 years old, but Ranjit Singh showed an earlier acumen at political affairs. Towards the close of the 18th century, all the important misls except Sukrachakya were in a state of disintegration. Afghanistan was also engulfed in a civil war due to a power struggle which went on for the next 3 decades. These events in the neighboring region were fully exploited by Ranjit Singh, who followed a ruthless policy of blood and iron and carved out for himself a kingdom in a central Punjab. In 1799, Ranjit Singh was appointed as the governor of Lahore by Zaman Shah, the ruler of Afghanistan. In 1805, Ranjit Singh acquired Jammu and Amritsar, and thus the political capital Lahore and the religious capital Amritsar of Punjab came under of Ranjit Singh. He also maintained good relations with the Dogras and the Nepalese and enlisted them in his army. Ranjit Singh and the English. The prospectus of a joint Franco-Russian invasions of India through the land route had alarmed the English. In 1807, Lord Minto sent Charles Metcalfe to Lahore. Ranjit Singh offered to accept Metcalfe's proposal on an offensive and defensive alliance on the condition that the English would remain neutral in case of Sikh-Afghan war and would consider Ranjit Singh the sovereign of the entire Punjab, including the Malwa territories. However, the negotiations failed. In the changed political scenario, in which the Napoleonic danger receded and the English became more assertive, Ranjit Singh agreed to sign the Treaty of Amritsar with the company. Treaty of Amritsar. The Treaty of Amritsar was significant for its immediate as well as potential effects. It checked one of the most cherished ambitions of Ranjit Singh to extend his rule over the entire Sikh nation by accepting the river Sutlej as the boundary line for his dominions of the companies. Now, he directed his energies towards the west, captured Multan, Kashmir, and Peshawar. In June 1838, Ranjit Singh was compelled by political compulsions to the sign the tripartite treaty with the English. However, he refused to give passage to the British army through his territories to attack Dost Muhammad, the Afghan Amir. The relations of Raja Ranjit Singh with the company from 1809 to 1839 clearly indicate the former's weak position. Although he was conscious of his weak position, he took no step to organize and coalitions of other Indian princes or maintain a balance of power. Ranjit Singh died in June 1839, and with his death, the process of decline of his empire began. Punjab after Ranjit Singh. Beginning of court factions. Ranjit Singh's only legitimate son and successor, Kharak Singh, was not efficient, and during the brief periods of his reign, court factions became active. Kharak Singh's sudden death in 1839 and the accidental death of his son Prince Navnihal Singh when he was returning from his father's funeral led to an anarchic situation in Punjab. Plans and courts plans of various groups to capture the throne of Lahore provided an opportunity for decisive action by the English. The army, the pillar of the Sikh state, was far less strong than it appeared to be. Ranjit Singh's able generals Mohkam Chand, Diwan Chand, Hari Singh Nalwa, and Ram Dayal were already dead. Already, discontent was growing among the troops as a result of irregularity of payment. The appointment of unworthy officers led to indiscipline. The Lahore government, continuing the policy of friendship with the English company, permitted the British troops to pass through his territory. Once, when they were fleeing from Afghanistan, and again when they are marching back to Afghanistan to avenge their defeat. These marches resulted in commotion and economic dislocation in Punjab. Rani Zindal and Dalip Singh. After the death of Navnihal Singh, Sher Singh and another son of Ranjit Singh succeeded, but he was murdered in late 1843. Soon afterwards, Dalip Singh, a minor son of Ranjit Singh, was proclaimed of Maharaja with Rani Zindal as regent and Hira Singh Dogra as Wazir. Hira Singh himself fell a victim to a court intrigue and was murdered in 1844. The new Wazir, Zawar Singh, the brother of Rani Zindal, soon incurred the displeasure of the army and was deposed and put to death in 1845. Lal Singh, a lover of Rani Zindal, won over the army to his side and became the Wazir in the same year. And Teja Singh was appointed as the commander of the force. First Anglo-Sikh War 1845 to 46. Causes. The outbreak of the first of the Anglo-Sikh Wars has been attributed to the action of the Sikh army crossing the river Sutlej on December 11, 1845. This was seen as an aggressive maneuver that provided the English with the justification to declare war. The causes were, however, much more complex and may be listed as follows. The anarchy in the Lahore kingdom following the death of Maharaja Ranjit Singh, resulting in a power struggle or domination between the court at Lahore and the ever powerful and increasingly local army. Suspicions amongst the Singh army arising from English military campaigns to achieve the annexation of Gwalior and Sindh in 1841 and the campaign in Afghanistan in 1842, and the increase in the number of English troops being stationed near the border with the Lahore kingdom. Course of war. The war began in December 1845 with 20,000 to 30,000 troops in the British side, while the Sikhs had about 50,000 men under the overall command of Lal Singh. But tragedy of Lal Singh and Teja Singh caused five successive defeats to the Sikhs and Mudki December 18, 1845, Firoz Shah 1845 December 21 or 22, Budilwal Aliwal January 28, 1846, and at Sobrao February 10, 1846. Lahore fell to the British force on February 20, 1846 without a fight. Treaty of Lahore, March 8, 1846. The end of the First Anglo-Sikh War forced the Sikhs to sign a humiliating treaty on March 8, 1846. The main features of the Treaty of Lahore were as follows. War indemnity of more than 1 crore of rupees was to be given to the English. The Jalandhar Doab between the Bees and the Sutlej was conceded to the company's dominions. A British resident was to be established at Lahore under Henry Lawrence. The strength of the Sikh army was reduced. Dalip Singh was recognized as the ruler under Rani Zindan as regent and Lal Singh as wazir. Since the Sikhs were not able to pay the entire war indemnity, Kashmir, including Jammu, was sold to Gulab Singh and he was required to pay rupees 75 lakh to the company as the price. The transfer of Kashmir to Gulab Singh was formalized by a separate treaty on March 16, 1846. Treaty of Berowal. The Sikhs were not satisfied with the Treaty of Lahore over the issue of Kashmir, so they rebelled. In December 1846, the Treaty of Berowal was signed. According to the provisions of this treaty, Rani Zindan was removed as regent and a council of regency for Punjab was set up. The council consisted of 8 Sikh Sardars, presided over all English resident Henry Lawrence. Second Anglo-Sikh War 1848 to 49. Causes: the defeat in the First Anglo-Sikh War and the provisions of the treaties of Lahore and Berowal were highly humiliating for the Sikhs. Inhuman treatment meted out to Rani Zindan, who was sent to Benares as a pensioner, added to the resentment of the Sikhs. Mulraj of the governor of Multan was replaced by a new Sikh governor over the issue of increase in annual revenue. Mulraj revolted and murdered two English officers accompanying the new governor. Sher Singh was sent to suppress the revolt, but he himself joined Mulraj, leading to a mass uprising in Multan. This could be considered as the immediate cause of the war. The then Governor General of India, Lord Dalhousie, a hardcore expansion, got the pretext to annex Punjab completely. Cause of war. Lord Dalhousie himself proceeded to Punjab. Three important battles were fought before the final annexation of Punjab. These three battles were Battle of Ramnagar, led by Sir Hugh Coe, the commander-in-chief of the company. Battle of Chillanwalla, January 1849. Battle of Gujarat, February 21, 1849. The Sikh army surrendered at Rawalpindi and their Afghan allies were chased out of India. Gujarat is a small town on the banks of the river Jhelum. Result at the end of the war came surrender of the Sikh army and Sher Singh in 1849, annexation of Punjab, and for his service, the Earl of Dalhousie was given the thanks of the British Parliament and a promotion in the peerage as Marquess. Setting up of the three-member board to govern Punjab, comprising the Lawrence brothers, Henry and John, and Charles Mansell. In 1853, the board was nullified and Punjab was placed under a chief commissioner. John Lawrence became the first chief commissioner. Significance of the Anglo-Sikh Wars. The Anglo-Sikh Wars gave the two sides a mutual respect for each other's fighting prowesses, and the Sikhs were to fight loyally on the British side in the revolt of 1857 and in many other campaigns and wars up till the Indian independence in 1947. Extension of British paramountcy through administrative policy. The process of imperial expansion and consolidation of British paramountcy was carried on by company during the 1757 to 1857 period through a twofold method: policy of annexation of by conquest or war, and policy of annexation by diplomacy and administrative mechanism. We have already discussed how the company defeated and subjugated one by one the major Indian powers like Bengal, Mysore, and Marathas and the Sikh, mainly by waging wars against them and through considerable deceit. But in the case of many other powers, the British applied diplomatic and administrative policy. In this context, we may cite examples of Warren Hastings' ring fence policy, Wellesley's system of subsidiary alliance, and Dalhousie's doctrine of lapse to see how the British dominion expanded in India. The policy of ring fence. Warren Hastings took charge as the Governor General at a critical period of British rule when the British were to encounter the powerful combination of the Marathas, Mysore, and Hyderabad. He followed a policy of ring fence which aimed at creating buffer zones to defend the company's fortunes. Broadly speaking, it was the policy of defense of their neighbors' frontiers for safeguarding their own territories. This policy of Warren Hastings was reflected in his war against the Marathas and Mysore. The chief danger to the company's territories was from the Afghan invaders and the Marathas. To safeguard against these dangers, the company undertook to organize the defense of the frontiers of Awadh on the condition that the Nawab would defray the expenses of the defending army. The defense of Awadh constituted the defense of Bengal during that time. Thus, the states brought under the ring fence system were assured to military assistance against external aggression, but at their own expense. In other words, these allies were required to maintain subsidiary force which were to be organized, occupied, and commanded by officers of the company, who in turn were to be paid by the rulers of these states. Wellesley's policy of subsidiary alliance was in fact an extension of the ring fence system, which sought to reduce the Indian state into a position of dependence on the British government. Subsidiary alliance. The subsidiary alliance system was used by Lord Wellesley, who was Governor General from 1798 to 1805, to build an empire in India. Under the system, the aligned Indian states ruler were compelled to accept the permanent stationing of a British force within his territory and to pay a subsidy for its maintenance. The Indian ruler had to agree to the posting of a British resident in his court. The Indian ruler could not employ any European in his service without the prior consultation with the company, nor he nor could he go to war or negotiate with any other Indian ruler without consulting the Governor General. In return for all these, the British would defend the ruler from his enemies and adopt a policy of non interference in the internal matters of the Allied state. One of the objects behind Wellesley's straightening of the subsidiary alliance system was to keep the French from revive and expanding their influence in India. Around this time, the fear of Napoleon's expedition towards the east was very real for the British, who felt that the French could attack the western coast of India from their colony of Mauritius when the clause in the alliance treaty requiring the Indian rulers to dismiss Europeans other than the British from their service and not employ any. By means of this system, the company could station its force at a strategic location and keep the French at bay. Besides, the subsidiary alliance would expand the company's hold over the Indian states and gradually bring more and more territory into the company's fold. The Indian rulers lost their independence by buying security. They were not free to interference from the British resident. They lost much of their revenue paying for the British troops. Also, the alliance made the Indian rulers weak and irresponsible. The subjects were exploited, and it was practically impossible to depose the oppressive rulers as they were protected by the British. Evolution and perfection. It was probably Dupleix who first gave on hire, so to say, European troops to Indian rulers to fight their wars. Since then, almost all the Governor General from Clive onwards applied the system to various Indian states and brought it to near perfection. The first Indian state to fall into this protection trap, which anticipated the subsidiary alliance system, was Awadh, which is 1765 signed a treaty under which the company pledged to defend the frontiers of Awadh on the condition of the Nawab defraying the expenses of such defense. It was in 1787 that the company first incited that the subsidiary state should not have foreign relations. This was included in the treaty with the Nawab of Carnatic, which the Cornwallis signed in February 1787. It was Wellesley's genius to make it a general rule to negotiate for the surrender of territory in full sovereignty for the maintenance of this subsidiary force. Stages of application of subsidiary alliance. There were four stages in the evolution of the subsidiary alliance. In the first stage, the company offered to help a friendly Indian state with its troops to fight any war the state might be engaged in. The second stage consisted of make a common causes with the Indian state now made friendly and taking the field with its own soldiers and those of the state. Now came the third stage when the Indian ally was asked for, not for men but for money. In return, the company promised soldiers under British officer and that the contingent would be available to the ruler for his personal protection as also for keeping out aggressor. In the fourth or the last stage, take the money or the protection fees was fixed, usually at high level. When the state failed to pay the money in time, it was asked to cede cutting parts of its territories to the company in lieu of payment. The company's entry into the affairs of the state had begun. Now it would be for the British resident to initiate, sustain, and hasten the process of eventual annexation. States, states which accepted alliance. In Indian princes who accepted the subsidiary system were the Nizam of Hyderabad, September 1798 and 1800, the ruler of Mysore 1799, the ruler of Tanjore October 99, the Nawab of Awadh November 1801, the Peshwa December 1801, the Bonsil Raja of Berar December 1803, the Sindhya February 1804, the Rajput estates of Jodhpur, Jaipur, Makri, Bundi, and the ruler of Bharatpur 1818. The Holkars were the last Maratha confederation to accept the subsidiary alliance in 1818. Doctrine of Lapse. In simple terms, the doctrine stated that the adopted son could be heir to his foster father's private property, but not the state. It was for the paramount power to decide whether to bestow the state on the adopted son or to annex it. The doctrine was stated to be based on Hindu law and Indian customs, but Hindu law seemed to be somewhat inconclusive on this point, and the instance of an Indian sovereign annexing the state his vassal and account of lapse, that is, leaving no issue as higher, were rather rare. Maharaja Ranjit Singh and annexed a few of his feudatory principalities on account of lapse. Likewise, the company in 1820 acquired a few petty cis-suitless states on the absence of heirs. Nonetheless, there was no clear-cut instance of an adopted son being deprived of an entire state or such a state being regarded as a lapse. Though the policy is attributed of Lord Dalhousie, he was not its originator. It was a coincidence that during his governor generalship, several important cases arose in which the doctrine could be applied. Dalhousie showed too much zeal in enforcing these policy which had been theoretically enunciated on some previous occasions. His predecessors had acted on the general principle of avoiding annexation if it could be avoided. Dalhousie in turn acted on the general principle of annexing if he could do so legitimately. Annexed Lapes State. It was a matter of chance that during Lord Dalhousie's term, many rulers of a state died without a male issue, and 7 states were annexed under the doctrine of lapse. The most important of these were Satara, 1848, Jhansi, and Nagpur, 1854. The other small states, including Jaipur, Bundelkhand, Sambalpur, Orissa, and Bhagat, Madhya Pradesh. Lord Dalhousie annexed Awadh in 1856 after deposing Nawab Wazid Ali Shah on ground of misgovernment. Thus, Dalhousie annexed 8 states during his 8-year tenure as Governor General. In these 8 years, he annexed some quarter million square miles of the territory of India. His region almost completed the process of expansion of British power in India, which began with the victory over Siraj ud Dowlah at Plassey in 1757. Relations of British India with neighboring countries. The desire of the British imperialists of consolidate their administrative and political power in the region led them into conflict with countries neighboring India. Anglo-Bhutanese relations. The occupation of Assam in 1826 brought the British into close contacts with the mountain state of Bhutan. Frequent raids of Bhutanese into adjoining territories in Assam and Bengal and the bad treatment meted out to Elegant's envoy in 1863 to 64 and the treaty imposed on him, by which the British were forced to surrender the passes leading to Assam, led to British annexation of these passes and the stopping of allowance paid to the Bhutanese. In 1865, the Bhutanese were forced to surrender the passes in return for the annual subsidy. It was the surrendered district which became a productive area with tea gardens. Anglo-Nepalese relation. The Gorkhas wrested control of Nepal from the successor of Ranjit Mala of Bhatgaon in 1760. They began to expand their dominion beyond the mountains. They found it easier to expand in the southern direction as the northern was well defended by the Chinese. In 1801, the English annexed Gorakhpur, which brought the Gorakh's boundary and the company's boundary together. The conflict started due to the Gorakh's capture of Butwal and Shiraz in the period of Lord Hastings 1813 to 23. The war ended in the Treaty of Sogli 1816, which was in favor of the British. As per the treaty, Nepal accepted the British resident. Nepal ceded the districts of Garhwal and Kumaon and abandoned claims of Tirai. Nepal also withdrew from Sikkim. This agreement brought many advantages to the British. The British Empire now reached the Himalayas. It got better facility for trade with Central Asia. It required sites for hill stations such as Shimla, Mussoorie, and Nainital, and the Gorakhs joined the British Indian Army in large number. Anglo-Burmese relation. In the beginning of the 19th century, Burma was a free country and wanted to expand westward. The expansion oaks of the British, fueled by the rule of the forest resource of Burma, market for British manufacturers in Burma and the need to check French ambitions in Burma and the rest of Southeast Asia resulted in three Anglo-Burmese war and in the end the annexation of Burma into British India in 1885.